I transmigrated into a gold-digging woman with no name or status by the tycoon's side. The domineering CEO and his son both favor the female lead, avoiding me like the plague. Whatever, the plot can go wherever it wants. I've decided to live it up with the huge living expenses. I just don't know when it started. That big one and the small one shamelessly stuck themselves to me again, last night. I stayed up late reading a cheesy urban romance novel with over 600 chapters. I cursed while reading until 3 a.m. and wrote a 500-word rant about it. The next day, I was late for work, rushed out to catch the bus, and got hit by a car. Before consciousness fully returned, I hadn't even opened my eyes to see my surroundings. A voice dripping with sarcasm chattered incessantly. "Sophia, now you've learned to threaten me with death. If you're so capable, why not just die outright? Bella just had a meal with me, and you made a scene at her studio entrance. Aren't you afraid of being a laughingstock? Have you ever come to me on ordinary days to show any concern for me? You only came because you heard the news and were afraid that after I marry Bella, I wouldn't give you any money. You don't love me at all, and you don't love Harrison either. You only love money. It's too noisy, unbearably loud, just like the Tang monk." I whimpered softly. "Stop making noise. I have a headache." That person paused for a moment and stopped reciting the scriptures. At the same time, I was startled by my own voice, because it was so beautiful. It was both delicate and soft, making one's bones tingle without feeling artificial. I suddenly opened my eyes and met Tang Seng's gaze. "Oh no, that's not Tang Sanzang. It's a drop-dead gorgeous hottie." I instinctively whistled. "Hey, handsome, what's your name?" The hottie frowned. "Sophia. What nonsense are you up to again, Sophia? This name sounds so familiar. Why is it the same as the female supporting character's name in that cheesy novel I read last night?" I steadied my mind and tentatively spoke to the handsome guy, Kevin Smith. The handsome man's eyes filled with deepening disgust. "Next time, don't threaten me with death. I won't believe a single word you say again." With that, the domineering CEO Kevin Smith stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The maid nearby hesitantly stepped forward. "Madam," I was confused. I threatened him with death. The maid's gaze fell on my hand, and she nodded heavily. I looked down. Wow, 3 tiny drops of blood on my fingertips. It must have been pricked with a needle. I wonder where the plot is now. The female supporting character I transmigrated into, Sophia, is a gold digger who uses her beauty to her advantage. Wait, uses her beauty to her advantage. In the original book, the author spent a great deal of time describing the female supporting character's stunning beauty. I grabbed the maid's hand urgently. Quick, quick, give me a mirror." A full-length mirror was brought before me. I stared at it for a few moments, feeling my heart pounding like a drum, beating fast and painfully, and my head began to spin. "No, I'm too beautiful." Before I fainted, I let out a sharp, piercing scream. "I can't take it anymore. Call an ambulance for me. I'm going to die from my own beauty," lying in the hospital bed. I watched the doctor carefully bandaging my fingers with gauze and sank into deep thought with satisfaction. At this stage, it should be when the female lead returns to the country, and the male lead and his son see through the original character's true nature, becoming utterly disappointed in her and turning to get close to the female lead instead. I smacked my lips and ate the rabbit-shaped apple the maid fed to my mouth. I only want the male lead's money. But I don't want him to seek a second chance at love. TSK. In the end, all the effort comes to nothing. I don't plan to follow the normal plot. I don't have the patience for that. Now I have both money and looks. I'm a mother but don't have to raise the child. And most importantly, I no longer have to endure the endless 8 a.m. to whenever corporate grind. I should be living it up in this book, having made up my mind. I smiled gleefully. Ha! Only then did I realize that the maid who had been feeding me the apple had, at some point, fallen silent. I raised my beautiful eyes, meeting Kevin Smith's complicated gaze, as if he had something to say but hesitated. The domineering CEO really seems to be everywhere except the company office. The maid nearby hid in the corner, playing a game of freeze tag with the air. Kevin Smith pursed his lips. "The doctor said you fainted due to extreme emotional fluctuations. I didn't expect you to care about me a little. You're overthinking it. I was knocked out by the overwhelming beauty. In that case, it's fine for you to attend Harrison's birthday party, but you need to be mindful of your behavior. Don't dress too flashily. Harrison doesn't like seeing you like that. You'd better. I can't listen anymore. Is this domineering CEO really the reincarnation of Tang Sanzang? I raised my hand. Stop. I looked at him seriously. First, explain clearly. Who is this Harrison? Another little vixen. So, not only do I have to make way for the female lead, but I also have to please his new little lover. My gaze is sharp. 500,000 isn't enough to make me serve his harem. This requires more money. Under my gaze, Kevin Smith first froze slightly, then was greatly shocked. His face turned pale, then green, then purple, and finally red, like the dirtiest palette in the art studio. In the end, even the strands of his hair stood on end. He burst out cursing. Harrison is your son, Harrison, our 7-year-old son. You need to be more responsible as a mother. The domineering CEO stormed out again, cursing and slamming the door. I rubbed my nose, thinking that in this mutually distant relationship, neither of us has the right to blame the other. I sneered coldly and raised my hand, signaling the maid to bring a mirror so I could admire my own beauty. Ah! I gasped while inhaling from the oxygen tank. I'm really outrageously beautiful. It truly was a wonderful day. I was admitted to the hospital at noon and discharged in the afternoon. I got into the car that was specially sent to pick me up, took out my phone, and scrolled through my contacts until I found Sarah. She was the original owner's college roommate and follower. After being helped by the original owner once, she remained fiercely loyal to her ever since. But in reality, this girl had a sharp business mind. She was an introvert disguised as an extrovert, someone who could hype up a crowd to achieve her goals, only to later curl up in a corner, wallowing in self-loathing and despising her own actions. Sarah had the brains but not the capital. After graduation, she had terrible luck finding a job. Every position she applied for turned out to be a carrot hole, a prearranged job. The job she ended up with didn't even match her skills. And at this point, she was probably being pressured by her family to return to her hometown and get married. What a coincidence. I don't like to use my brain, but I have money. Sarah has the brains, but no startup capital. I opened the chat window. Are you there? Want to do something big? The other person replied instantly. Kill who? I'm shocked. Is this the determination of a brainless fan? I need to handle this carefully, so I don't accidentally end up in jail before even building my business empire. Otherwise, we might both end up being suspected of murder. No. Are you interested in starting a business? I'll provide the funds, you provide the ideas. How about we partner up and start a company? Sarah was very excited. That's great, sis. I actually have an idea right now. I was also excited. What's the idea? Tell me about it. Sarah waved her hand and sent. We can start a dating website. I'm shocked. Is it because she got caught in the rain herself, so she wants to tear up everyone else's umbrella too? And just like that, the matchmaking website for high-end individuals that Sarah and I were building was officially put on her agenda. I wake up naturally every day, drink tea in the afternoon, get beauty treatments, and go shopping, living the life of pure bliss, until one day, Kevin Smith called, "Come downstairs." I was baffled. What for? The other person took a deep breath. You didn't forget that today is Harrison's birthday, did you? I was shocked, looked around, and steadied myself. How could I? After all, I'm the mother. Kevin Smith's tone softened a bit. Then hurry up and come downstairs. I tried to negotiate. I'm out right now. How about you go ahead first, and I'll drive over myself later. Kevin Smith was displeased. You know we're having a birthday party for Harrison tonight, and you're still out wandering around. I argued back. I'm out buying gifts for Harrison. Lots and lots of gifts. I've been buying them since the day I was discharged from the hospital. Kevin Smith exuded an overwhelming aura. Address. Now, I was completely numb, my heart as dead as ashes. 32 London Road, 32 London Road, the famous luxury avenue, a commercial district exclusively selling high-end fashion. Just as expected, Kevin Smith. Is your son planning to walk the runway in a low-cut gown or ascend to the heavens in 8-inch platform heels? I really did prepare a gift. Humph. The Smith family is wealthy and influential. Even the birthday party for their 7-year-old son was incredibly lavish, attended only by the rich and powerful. I entered arm in arm with Kevin Smith. Some people were pointing and whispering about me. I had just found a spot to stand and hadn't had a chance to ask Kevin Smith where my cheap son was when the female lead from the original story came over. Bella looked apologetic. Kevin originally said he was afraid you wouldn't have time, so he asked me to help Harrison cut the cake later. I didn't expect you to come tonight after all. Harrison will be so happy. After saying that, she tried to take my hand with a very familiar attitude. I quickly hid my hands behind my back. Don't touch. I've applied essential oil. It's very expensive. Bella choked back. Are you angry with me, sister? I said very sincerely. It really is very expensive. Bella glanced silently at Kevin Smith and, unwilling to give up, continued talking to me. Kevin was supposed to pick me up after work, but I thought you've only been to the main house once and aren't familiar with the way, unlike me who used to come here all the time. So I asked Kevin to pick you up instead. Please don't be angry with Kevin either. This statement is very manipulative and artful. First, she implied that Kevin prioritizes her over me, even picking her up first. Then she pointed out that Vivian doesn't treat me well, unlike her, who can come and go freely in the main house. Finally, she elevated her own attitude, putting on a facade of generosity and innocence while actually fabricating lies and talking nonsense. For example, why should I be angry with Kevin Smith? All right. Stop calling me sister. I took a sip of wine impatiently. The cool, smooth liquid slid down my throat, easing some of my inexplicable restlessness. I'm an only child. Bella's tone was gentle, but a smile played on her lips. But I thought calling each other sisters would make us seem closer, don't you think? No, I'm afraid others might misunderstand. Bella smiled even more. Misunderstand what? I looked straight ahead. Misunderstand that there's something wrong with my family's genes. Kevin Smith choked on his drink. Bella frowned slightly. What do you mean? I withdraw my gaze from the 3-meter-tall Gigi Bond cake, turn my head, and look Bella up and down, saying, I'm too beautiful. Your looks are good enough to be a goddess, but you're not quite up to par to be my sister. Bella is taken aback. Sophia, are you insulting me? I feign innocence. Calling you a goddess is an insult. I look at Kevin Smith, who thinks for a moment and then slowly shakes his head. I continued. It's also a fact that I'm devastatingly beautiful. You trying to claim my family's DNA is really going too far. Forcing a DNA sequence won't produce a good-looking person. After a moment's thought, I added, and maybe not even a person at all. Bella's face turned as purple as liver from anger. She trembled her lips for a long time, unable to utter a complete sentence, and finally stomped her foot fiercely before turning and running away. I once again met Kevin Smith's complicated gaze. Before he could speak, I scolded him with frustration. Go after her. Do you need me to cheer you on? Anyway, I've created this opportunity for you. You can help her scold me together. I won't be angry, of course. You might not be able to bring yourself to scold me either. After all, I'm as beautiful as a fairy, and you can't bear to. Then, for every insult Bella throws, you echo it, and don't worry, I won't hold back. I'll be cursing her even more viciously behind her back. After chasing Kevin Smith away, I picked up the little pastry I had been eyeing for a long time. Before I could take a bite, the butler in a black and purple tailcoat appeared before me and spoke with utmost respect. Miss, the old madam requests your presence. The spacious study was resplendent and magnificent. Vivian, dressed in a custom-made cheongsam and wearing exquisite makeup, sat behind a golden Nanmu desk and lifted her eyelids to scrutinize me. She picked up the teacup and took a slow sip of tea, the steam from the tea swirling gently. You and Bella, she said with an arrogant expression, I actually looked down on both of you. In the original story, the person I admired the most was actually the male lead's mother. She was a true career woman. After losing her husband at a young age, she managed to hold together a company that was on the brink of collapse. At the most critical moment, she turned the tide and snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, ultimately building the first generation of the Smith family's business empire. Admiration is one thing, but it doesn't stop me from letting loose, so I picked up my phone and asked the other end, can you hear me, Bella? Not just me, even the old lady looks down on you. Bella roared like a dragon from the other end of the voice call. Vivian's mouth twitched. I put away my phone with satisfaction and sprawled out on the sofa. What did you want to talk to me about? Vivian's gaze fell on my face, scrutinizing me carefully. You've changed. Thank you. I know. I nodded politely. completely unafraid of being called out for being OOC. I'm just getting more and more beautiful. Vivian's mouth twitched with a Parkinson's-like tremor. She paused for a moment, then raised her hand. The assistant beside her handed over a credit card. 3 million, leave my son. I looked at the gold-embossed card on the table. Then at Vivian's confident expression. Is it because Kevin Smith brought me to Harrison's birthday party, and you thought I was trying to hook up with Kevin Smith again, which made you feel threatened? I slowly raised 3 fingers and said fiercely, add another 3 million, and I can immediately fly to Thailand to give you another son. Auntie, I can also be your son, and I can even be your most outstanding son, Vivian sneered. What a load of nonsense, I obediently replied. Thank you, mother, for bestowing this name. The assistant quietly turned away, shoulders trembling with the same rhythm as the smirk on Vivian's lips. As expected of a high-end elite, your ideological awareness is high, always learning from the boss. Vivian steadied her mind. Think it through. Once this opportunity is gone, the price won't be the same next time. I am indeed thinking very seriously. No, I spoke again. I don't want the money. Vivian chuckled lightly. At least you have some backbone. I want you to purchase 2 gold VIP annual memberships on our website, top up 500,000 each time, and keep going until you don't need to anymore. Fine, give her the contract. The assistant handed over another stack of papers. After signing the contract, Vivian, with the keen sense for making money typical of a career woman, looked at me with great interest. You created a website. I nodded shyly. Just a small business, Vivian instructed her assistant beside her. Hand the annual card matter over to Assistant Peter. He then turned to look at me and asked, what kind of business is your website in? I parted my lips lightly and said, a high-end matchmaking site. The room fell silent. Vivian stared at me with wide eyes. 2 annual passes, naturally. For you and your son, they require real name verification, otherwise they won't be valid. The room fell into an eerie silence once again. For a long while, she held her forehead and closed her eyes. Probably finally blinded by my beauty, she said weakly, get out. As I closed the intricately carved dark brown lacquered wooden door of the study, a voice came from inside. Assistant Peter, where are my heart medicine pills? Give me a few quickly. My chest feels so tight. Leaving the study, I wasn't in a hurry to return to the main hall. In my previous life, I had never been to such a high-end and classy place. Since I was already here, of course I had to take a good look around and feast my eyes. I wandered to the back garden and was contemplating which tiny diamond embedded in the large flower pot I could pry off without being noticed when I heard the sound of a scuffle coming from behind a nearby bamboo grove. Amid the chaotic shouts and disorderly footsteps, a young, clear voice reached my ears. You're just a motherless wild child. I'm not wrong. I walked along the stone path through the bamboo grove. Behind the bamboo grove was a lake. 3 boys stood by, gloating with schadenfreude. On the ground, an older and larger-looking boy was pinning down a boy in a small white suit, beating him. The boy being beaten stretched out his arms, tightly protecting his head, and remained silent. Someone said with strong malice, how boring, why don't we throw him into the lake? Damn it, I can't stand this. What I hate most in this life is bullying. Hey, kid, I stepped forward, crossing my arms. Do you believe I could skewer you all with bamboo sticks and toss you into the lake like a cold pot? The 5 boys froze the moment they saw me. Hearing me say that, they exchanged a few more glances before running off in frustration. I watched their retreating figures with a cold gaze, then turned to look at the child who had already stood up, his face full of stubbornness. I comforted him gently. Are you okay? Look, the white suit has turned into a distressed gray. The child suddenly yelled very loudly, I don't need your fake kindness. I felt baffled. You're yelling at me, I helped you, and you're still being mean to me. The child stood up straight, not even glancing at me. I think he is very ungrateful. With your personality, no wonder you get bullied. I was just bored, otherwise I wouldn't have helped you. After saying that, I was about to leave. Then the child burst into loud wails, as if he had suffered a great injustice. 2 maids hurriedly ran out from behind the bamboo grove. Upon seeing me, they wore expressions of wanting to speak but hesitating, too hesitant to step forward. My eyes lit up as I waved to the 2 of them. Bring me one of the chaise lounges from the hall. The chaise lounge was placed directly in front of the boy. I lay on it gracefully, picked up a sun-kissed grape, and watched the boy with great interest. Tilt your head up a bit more. A little to the left. Good, stop. Hold that angle, it's the most flattering for crying. I noticed earlier that this boy is quite beautiful, possessing about 70% of my charm. When he cries, the scene is even more delightful. Voice, control your voice. Too rough, make it a bit softer. Alright, keep crying. The little boy, with red-rimmed eyes, stared at me in a daze, sniffling. I was puzzled. Why aren't you crying? Is the emotion not strong enough? I looked at the butler who had arrived late. Find someone in the hall who plays the eru to liven things up for this, young master. The butler's face turned the color of someone who had been constipated for 30 years, and he stood still. Instead, the furious voice of Kevin Smith rang out from outside the bamboo grove. Sophia, I just went to discuss some matters with a partner, and in that short time, you made my son cry. Oh, so he didn't go looking for his first love, Bella. Wow, is this my son? Kevin Smith toddled over to me. I struck first. Who says I bullied him? Which eye of yours saw that? Clearly, he was being bullied by others, and I helped him. Okay, Kevin Smith paused. Then why did you make him cry? I'm even more displeased. Did I make him cry? He started crying for no reason all on his own. Besides, what I just did was to educate him. Have you heard of the 5 aspects of education? I was just starting with aesthetic education, teaching him how to cry with excellence and brilliance. I was like a loaded machine gun, firing off a rapid burst, always saying he's my son. But how many times do I actually get to see him in a day? Every time I go to your place, don't the security guards stop me from entering? You and your mom raised a crybaby, and now you're blaming me. Be reasonable. Okay, mentioning Vivian, Kevin Smith gritted his teeth in anger. The old lady offered you $3 million to leave me, and you bargained it down to $500,000 to have her sign up for your dating site's annual membership. I corrected him meticulously. It's an annual renewal, until each of you finds a new love. My clever plan is well thought out. The dating website is just starting out and lacks fame. On the day Kevin Smith and Vivian get their real name verification, I guarantee it will be the peak moment when my company monopolizes the hearts of affluent women aged 20 to 35 and elderly gentlemen aged 50 to 75. I was overjoyed in my heart and couldn't keep my mouth shut. My son inherited my genes, so his personality is definitely 50% as tenacious as mine. Every day, rain or shine, he goes door to door asking for money without fail. Calm and composed, being pointed at every day and still being able to shop without changing expression. So I pointed at Kevin Smith. It's your education that's the problem. Don't try to shift the blame onto me. The bamboo grove fell into silence. Even my cheap son stopped twitching, looking at me with disbelief and ecstasy, barely suppressing the corners of his mouth from curling upward. You praised me. You actually praised me. This is the first time you've ever praised me. Humph, I don't care. Kevin Smith looked at his son's flushed face and fell silent. He laughed in anger. Fine. He grabbed my hand. You're coming home with me tonight. Starting today, you'll be the one teaching. I'd like to see how well you can teach. The birthday party ended. After repeatedly reminding me not to wander off, Kevin Smith went to the front yard garage to get the car. I stood in the main house, reflecting on all the changes that had occurred tonight. Bella came over from somewhere again. Sister, do you not have a car? Would you like me to have someone take you home? Ah. My sister really has it tough. Unlike me, I'm so bored, except for tonight when I get to sleep in the main house. I looked at Bella expressionlessly. The latter raised an eyebrow and smiled provocatively. At that moment, 2 beams of headlights, like pillars, flashed across the opposite side of the pond. I turned Bella's head towards the courtyard. Look, Bella was shocked. I asked, does that license plate look familiar? Recognizing it was Kevin Smith's car, Bella said. I chuckled softly. You're sleeping in the main house tonight, and I'm sleeping in Kevin Smith's bed. What a coincidence. The car stopped in front of Bella and me, and the window slowly rolled down. Kevin Smith leaned out and shouted, Sophia, get in the car. Kevin Smith saw Bella, paused for a moment, and said calmly, Uncle Young has prepared the guest room. You should rest well tonight. You've worked hard organizing Harrison's birthday party, for real. Wanting to sleep in Kevin Smith's bed, Bella couldn't hold back her smile for the first time and nodded stiffly. I look at her. When she could no longer ignore my gaze and finally turned to look at me, I tilted my head and frowned. Sophia, that name sounds familiar. Do you know who Kevin Smith is calling? Bella said. She's really good at playing the innocent victim. But honestly, she's just too good at it. I suddenly realized and covered my mouth. Oh, they're calling me. Thank you for your hard work tonight. I'll be heading off now. The words I said to Bella were a mix of truth and lies. Once I got home, I instructed the butler to tidy up the guest room. Starting today, Kevin Smith, you'll be sleeping in the guest room. For example, tonight, I am indeed going to sleep in Kevin Smith's bed. I want to sleep in the master bedroom. Kevin Smith sneered. What gives you the right to sleep in the master bedroom? I stood in front of his bedroom door, blocking him from entering. You invited me to your house, and as a guest, I should get the best bedroom. Kevin Smith was taken aback for a moment. What kind of guest are you? You're Harrison's mom. Oh, so now you're admitting I'm one of your own. I put my hands on my hips. I'm only your biological mother. I never registered a marriage with you, nor did I register Harrison's household registration. Without any status or title, if I'm not a guest, then what am I? Aren't the Smiths known for being the most particular about etiquette? Is it all just an act? In a fit of anger, Kevin Smith picked up his blanket and went to the guest bedroom. The next day, I woke up at noon as usual. While using the restroom, I glanced at the documents and reports Sarah had sent, highlighting a few key points that were particularly important. Kevin Smith suddenly sent a new message. The household registration is done. You need to move out as soon as possible. I opened the image, a turquoise blue document with my name and Harrison's printed on it. Oh, after going around in circles, for the sake of a bed, the child is back under my name again. I thought for a moment and was just about to reply with an okay. Bella inexplicably sent a picture. A hand with cat eye nails was holding a plastic cup with an image of a white deer printed on it. Big brother, please treat me to an Americano. How impressive, getting so happy over a $1.40 cup of coffee. But this damn competitive spirit of mine. I opened Kevin Smith's chat box. Household register. Take another picture of the cover for me, the maroon one. Kevin Smith didn't understand, but still sent one over. I tapped my fingers. Did you buy Bella an Americano? Kevin Smith was puzzled. No, I bought drinks for the company employees. Bella came to the company to ask me to invest in her second uncle's business. One employee didn't show up, so there was an extra cup, and she just took it. I was satisfied. All right, I'll spare your life, Kevin Smith. I turned around and sent the picture to Bella, saying, my brother is asking me to register my household. Bella was furious and sent a voice message, completely incredulous. Did you two get married? Wow, I was only thinking about transferring my household registration. I pretended to be profound. Huh, you guessed right. Bella hung up the call while cursing under her breath. The phone screen showed a message sent by Kevin Smith 3 minutes ago. Are you okay? What are you doing? Speak. The other party has cancelled. Missed call. Tap to call back. What are you angry about? So unreasonable. See if I even bother with you. The other party initiated a transfer of 80,000 yuan. With the note, voluntary gift. Are you out of money? Is it enough? Hesitating for even a second is a sign of disrespect towards money. I clicked to accept. The other person replied instantly, I'm sleeping in my own room tonight, laughing to death. So childish. People passed by one after another, from the master bedroom to the guest room. I pointed at Kevin Smith's bed. Take the mattress away too. Had a luxurious dinner at the 999th floor revolving tower in the evening. When I got home, Kevin Smith hadn't returned yet. The butler took my shopping bags, looking as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. I gave him a strange glance and walked into the living room. On the sofa lay a small, lifeless figure, but in the air, head buried in the corner of the couch, wriggling and squirming like a worm. I sat down on a nearby armchair. Tisk, tsk, tisk, tisk, tsk, tsk. Harrison jumped up. Are you teasing a dog? Only then did I understand what the butler's look meant. On Harrison's handsome little face, his right cheek was bruised and swollen. He had been bullied. I pinched Harrison's face. Who hit you? Harrison pouted, stubbornly refusing to say a word. I turned to the butler. Is he often bullied? Doesn't Kevin Smith do anything about it? The butler nodded. The young master said that by his age, he was already the school bully. He told the little master to handle it himself. The young master also said that any problem that can be solved with money is not a problem. I frowned and looked at Harrison, who whimpered weakly. They said I'm a walking ATM machine. Stupid and rich. Aren't you going to complain to your Aunt Jo? She said a real man should be independent. Damn it, I can't take this anymore. You're so tough with me at home, but you get bullied outside. What, are you only brave enough to pick on me? The child lowered their head. Pouting with a grievance, I sighed. Kevin Smith doesn't care, but I do. The child suddenly looked up, staring at me intently, their eyes sparkling like stars. After washing up, I lay in bed applying a sheet mask that cost 2,000 yuan. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking came from the bedroom door. The lock made a soft click, and Harrison peeked his head in. His little face was flushed. Can I sleep with you? I raised an eyebrow. Sure. The little one's lips curled up. But he quickly pursed them to hide his smile, tapping with little feet. She was about to get into bed. You sleep on the floor. Harrison froze, his eyes wide, breathing rapidly and heavily, like a broken blower. Oh dear. I wrapped my arms around him. You have no sense of humor. I was just teasing you. Come on, sleep in the bed. This mattress was snatched from your dad's bed. Early the next morning, Kevin Smith had not returned all night. Harrison sat in the living room eating breakfast as if it were nothing out of the ordinary. I went downstairs and handed Harrison a small backpack. You carry this backpack to school. Harrison obediently took it, feeling the weight in his hands, and widened his eyes uncertainly. It's so heavy. What did you put in it? Trying to crush me? I chuckled lightly. There's something wrapped in cloth inside to ward off evil spirits. Don't look, or it won't work. Harrison's small hands tightly hugged his little backpack. When I got home in the evening, sure enough, there was another lazybones lying on the sofa. I walked over and pointed to the small backpack by the sofa, lifting it slightly. Where's the stuff? A muffled voice sounded. Got robbed. I patted the little but that was sticking out. Good job. Well done. Harrison was shocked. I walked to the window, picked up the phone, and dialed a number. Hello, is this the City Public Security Bureau? Outside the window, the wind howled and the temperature plummeted. I was robbed of 1.5 million. I want to report it to the police. The weather is cold, and those who bully my son shall die. As dusk fell, inside the Municipal Public Security Bureau, I looked at the familiar face across the table and sneered. I don't care. I won't settle. You can't just do whatever you want just because you're young. Give him a chance to change. He bullied my son so many times. Did he ever give my son a single chance? Bella looked awkward. They're just kids. They don't know any better. If the kids don't know any better, do you not know any better either? Bella was left speechless. I turned my head and glared sinisterly at the boy who was bullying Harrison. No wonder Bella went to great lengths to please Harrison. But this time she didn't help him. Turns out the bully is her nephew. Ugh. And it's the same boy who pinned Harrison to the ground and beat him at the Smith family's main residence last time. So arrogant. I once again reiterated to the police, I will not settle, even if the King of Heaven himself comes, I will not settle. The boy snorted disdainfully and rolled his eyes. What right do you have to talk about my aunt like that? Once my aunt marries Harrison's dad and gives birth to a little brother, what will be left for you and your little chick? Bella quickly covered her nephew's mouth. Unfortunately, he blabbered on and said everything. I flicked my finger. Kevin Smith arrived late. Footsteps approached from a distance. His tall and straight figure was outlined by the light, creating a perfect, hazy silhouette. He frowned as he looked at me and Harrison, his gaze lingering on the latter's face for a moment before lifting to the two people opposite him, revealing a gloomy expression that hinted at an impending storm. What exactly is going on? How dare he ask, pretending as if he doesn't know. I slammed the table. What's going on? Your little lover teamed up with his nephew to bully your son. Look at that handsome face, all beaten up. You keep scolding me for not caring about our son as a mother, but you're no different as a father. You didn't even know our son was beaten to death by your lover's nephew. Bella stood up, trying to grab Kevin Smith's sleeve. I raised my hand and slammed my phone on the table, pressing the play button. The boy's arrogant voice rang out. Once my aunt marries Harrison's dad and gives birth to a little brother in no time, what will you and your little chick have left? The Smith family's money will be ours sooner or later. What's wrong with me using a bit of it in advance? Kevin Smith was taken aback and instinctively took a step back, avoiding Bella's outstretched hand. Bella was shocked. And after a moment of realization, she stammered nervously, brother, let me explain, I sneered. Cluck, 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 are you about to lay an egg? I threw her own words right back at her. Kids don't know any better. It must be you adults constantly gossiping in front of them that they picked it up. TSK, 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 how vicious. I hugged Harrison. How could you bear to lay a hand on such a beautiful face? You're utterly heartless. The police station was eerily quiet. Many curious onlookers peeked their heads through the door of the mediation room. Kevin Smith looked at Harrison, his eyes dark and shifting with emotion. When he looked up again, he avoided Bella's pleading gaze and firmly said to the police officer, "We will not reconcile." After leaving the police station, Harrison held my hand and cheered, "Mom, you're so cool, huh?" I felt great after venting and replied cheerfully, "That's right. I'm not just cool, I'm also beautiful." Kevin Smith contacted the driver to take Harrison home first. When it was just the two of us, he apologized immediately. "I'm sorry, I didn't know Harrison was being bullied to this extent." I glanced at him sideways. "You didn't notice he was beaten up?" "I was on a business trip in Switzerland at the time," Kevin Smith said with a grim expression. "Bella offered to take care of Harrison, and I never expected, by the time you realized. The grass on the grave would have grown 2 meters tall." Kevin Smith lowered his head even further. "I'm sorry." I looked at the top of his head and paused for a moment. "All right, I forgive you. From now on, pay attention to what your child says. Try to see things from their perspective and understand their problems and worries. Don't just assume it's none of your business and act indifferent." Kevin Smith didn't make a sound. Staring at me intently, I thought for a moment. "You still need to apologize to Harrison when you get home. The child is already young, and there aren't many people he can turn to for help. As his father, you didn't firmly protect him right away. He must be really upset." Kevin Smith stood in the night, looking at me seriously for the first time. "You've really changed so much." "Before," he said in a deep voice. "Who exactly are you?" I glanced at him and covered my heart. "I didn't expect you to find out. My name is Optimus Prime." Kevin Smith's expression of sudden understanding turned back to confusion and shock. He lowered his gaze thoughtfully, staring at the asphalt road, a faint smile gradually appearing in his eyes, until he finally chuckled. His eyes curved into a smile, his Adam's apple bobbed, and he looked at me seriously. "No matter who you are." His dark eyes were clear and bright, like the radiant moon, shining brilliantly and warming the heart. "The way you are now is very good, truly very good." The day after tomorrow is Saturday. Harrison did not return to the main house to see his grandmother. Kevin Smith also surprisingly didn't disappear for once. From the moment I got up at noon, the two of them, one big and one small, silently stuck by my side, accompanying me while I shopped and waited for my beauty massage. We had dinner at Rose Mountain Villa in the evening. I received the punishment for Bella's nephew from the police, a 1-year stay at a juvenile detention center. Knowing the outcome, Harrison attentively picked out a few pieces of fish for me. Not wanting to be outdone, Kevin Smith took the plate and carefully removed the bones for me. Watching the two of them, I suppressed a laugh and took out my phone to snap a photo, posting it on my social media feed. "I really am so beautiful that everyone adores me." Photo attached. After settling the bill, Kevin Smith received a call from his close friend, inviting him to a mountain bar for a small gathering. Harrison had a few too many glasses of coconut juice and felt lightheaded. "Let's go, Mom. I'll have a few drinks with you when the time comes." Harrison was sent back to the city by Kevin Smith under the pretense of attending an advanced math tutoring class. Getting into Kevin Smith's car, listening to light music, I took out my phone and started scrolling through it. There were many more likes and comments in my social media feed, including some teasing remarks joking about my dream coming true. Of course, there was also a message from Bella sent 45 minutes ago. "Are you mocking me in your social media posts?" I sent, ? The other person clearly had been waiting, replying instantly. "I invited Kevin to dinner, but he declined, saying he was busy with work, only to turn around and have a meal with you. I've been picking up Harrison from school these past 2 days, and he won't even look at me. Isn't all this you're doing? Are you posting these things to mock me for going out of my way? What a delusion." I rolled my eyes at Kevin Smith. you caused this romantic trouble yourself, and instead of dealing with it, you pester me every day. I didn't want to drag it out, so I replied to Bella, alright, I'll spoil you this once. Bella sent, ? I took a screenshot and returned to the main page of my moments, deleted the previous post, and edited a new one, friends, because my happy family has offended MS. Bella, she confronted me thinking I was provoking her, so, I have deleted that post for her and attached the chat screenshot from earlier to express my sincere apologies. 2 images were attached afterward, a screenshot of a WeChat moment I previously posted, a screenshot of our private chat conversation. Bella let out a sharp scream in the chat box, TSK, so noisy, I blocked her. I casually recorded a screen capture of her cursing and posted it on my moments. The wind tonight is quite boisterous. Tonight's moments is unusually lively. Kevin Smith has been secretly watching me from the very beginning, seeing that I couldn't hold back my smile. He also smiled with his eyes. What's got you so happy? I smirked, teasing your little lover. Kevin Smith fell silent and frowned. Bella and I really have nothing going on, I said. Do you think I believe that? I admit I had a crush on her in college, but after she stubbornly went abroad, I truly let her go, back then. I also saw Harrison getting close to her and liking her, and I thought she was genuinely good to Harrison, so I allowed her to stay at the main house. I looked directly at Kevin Smith and said, then, from the time I came home, you've been out every night. Where have you been having fun? If it's not Bella, do you have some other sweetheart? This time, Kevin Smith was full of confidence. I stay at the company every night, working overtime to review proposals, revise plans, and negotiate contracts. Wow, putting so much effort into work, that's not normal at all. I raised an eyebrow. Is the company about to collapse? Kevin Smith said angrily, I work so hard because there's a money-shredding machine at home who spends every day shopping, buying, and eating. The money-shredding machine, smiled faintly. Keep up the good work. Supporting me is your honor. Besides, my own company is doing quite well. She has practically become a little rich woman. The tavern is located halfway up the mountain. It backs against a river, with a brilliantly lit nightscape across the water. The tavern itself is dimly lit, bathed in a soft blue glow. On the ground floor, a resident singer performs quiet and gentle folk songs, creating an atmosphere of serene elegance. I was leaning against the glass railing on the third-floor balcony, lifting my head to feel the night breeze. A soft call came from behind. Sophia. I turned my head. It was Jack, Kevin Smith's childhood best friend. He stood beside me, and we both gazed at the night view together. After a long while, he turned his head to look at me and said, You've changed a lot. I've really heard this phrase too many times. I'm tired of it. But I still smiled and replied, getting more and more beautiful. Jack chuckled softly, then turned and leaned back against the guardrail. This tavern was actually opened by a few of us back in college when we were bored. Who would have thought so many years have passed in the blink of an eye? Most of the customers here are introduced by friends of friends. Back then, some would come in as couples, only to leave alone later. Some would drown their sorrows night after night, and later, they even proposed to their loved ones right here in the tavern. I quietly listened to him speak, then slowly turned around, joining him in gazing at the table and the person inside. Kevin Smith. People gather and then drift apart, but this place holds our most precious memories. Jack pulled out a cigarette and held it between his lips. That kid lost his father at a young age, and his mother was too busy running the company and making money to support him, which led to her neglecting him. As a result, he grew up starved for affection, awkward, and not good with words. Bella, back then, she took the check from Kevin Smith's mother and abandoned him without hesitation to go abroad. After spending all the money overseas, she came back acting like a victim, saying all those sweet words to him, but it wasn't really love. Many people only love him as a symbol and the meaning behind it. And you? Jack glanced at me, letting out a sigh. You didn't love Kevin Smith before either. I lowered my gaze and traced the rim of the cup. But deep down, I agreed with his words. I'm not sure how much sincerity you have for Kevin Smith now either. Jack paused for a moment. But he brought you here. You have truly entered his heart. Haha. Saying all that is really just because you're afraid I'm a big player who's toying with Kevin Smith. I lifted my eyelids and happened to meet Kevin Smith's gaze inside the room. He raised an eyebrow slightly at me. as if asking, "Can you handle being friends? If not, I'll help you pull away." I chuckled lightly, raised my chin, and said in a haughty tone, "It's his honor to bring me here." Jack paused, glancing at me sideways for a long time. "Your personality is really amusing now." He chuckled lightly. "Now I guess you have some feelings for him." Jack picked up his glass and extended it toward me. "Want to have a drink?" I patted my chest boldly, bottoms up, the last moment before my consciousness faded. It was Kevin Smith sitting in the back seat, with me resting my head on his lap, groaning in discomfort. Kevin Smith's clear, pleasant voice lowered, "Leo, she's drunk." A warm palm covered my eyes, blocking the flickering light from outside the window. "It's easy to catch a cold with the air conditioner on. Let's turn it off." By the time we got home, I unilaterally decided that I was sober. But Kevin Smith helped me onto the sofa and instructed the butler to make me some hangover soup. The latest commercial of a certain film queen was playing on the TV. The maid wiping my sweat whispered, "She's been really popular lately." Another chimed in, "The lipstick she endorses is selling really well too." I suddenly opened my eyes. The maid was startled by me. I grabbed one of their heads. "Look at me." My gaze was sharp, my tone faint. "Are you tired of looking? Why do you always think about the stars outside?" The butler brought over the hangover soup. I refused to drink it and told him to put it aside. "Mirror, mirror." I looked at the butler, who is the fairest of them all. The butler's temple twitched. "Naturally, you are the fairest." I was satisfied. I lowered my head and continued staring at the maid whose head I was holding. The maid shuddered. "Madam, you are the fairest." "Madam, excellent, exceptionally clever." I shakily stood up, promoted to first-class maid. Reward with 5 gold nuggets. The maid who received 5 roasted peanuts. "Thank you, madam." My mind was unusually active, feeling refreshed and clear-headed all over. A magnetic voice came from upstairs. "Have you drunk the hangover soup?" I looked up, squinting. Wow, a handsome hunk who's a feast for the eyes. My heart stirred, and I leaned closer to him. "Who are you?" My hand moved slowly from his eyebrows downward, brushing past the tip of his nose, his thin lips, his Adam's apple, his collarbone. Then slipped beneath the bathrobe. "This face is nice, and the figure is acceptable too." The handsome guy grabbed my hand firmly. He frowned at me, then told everyone around to go back to their rooms and rest. I smiled and planted a kiss on his face. "I know, you're the male concubine I keep in my mansion." Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the sound of a car pulling up could be heard. Someone cheerfully got out of the car and approached with quick, light footsteps. "Hurry, hide quickly." I grabbed the handsome man by the collar. "My husband is coming with a knife to chop you up." Harrison, who had just realized what was happening, walked in with his backpack, looking completely innocent. Kevin Smith couldn't take it anymore and scooped me up by the waist, carrying me back to the bedroom. After placing me on his bed, he went back downstairs to get the hangover soup. When his figure reappeared in the bedroom again, I excitedly waved my hand. "Come help me dig the soil." Kevin Smith slowly let out a breath. "Do you know how much this orchid of mine is worth?" Cheapskate." I pointed at him, casually grabbing a handful of soil and sprinkling it on my head. "How dare a mere orchid try to show off in front of my 1,000-year-old ginseng? Bury me in the ground. And when mushrooms sprout next year, feel free to pick and eat them." Ugh, Sophia, ugh, my essence, my 1,000 years of cultivation, ugh. Kevin Smith carried me into the bathroom. I landed and immediately hugged my legs, shrinking into the corner. Hot water slowly filled the bathtub, steam rising. Kevin Smith rolled up his sleeves and picked up the shower head. "What are you doing again? Come take a bath." I spoke faintly. "Don't talk to me." Kevin Smith's face was so dark it could drip water. I shrank my neck and began to explain. "I can't speak right now. I'm a narcissus flower. Plants can't speak." The sound of gurgling water being poured. Kevin Smith rubbed his sore temples and reluctantly followed my logic. "Then how can you speak?" I looked at him, played with my fingers, then lifted my eyes to meet his. "You have to water me a bit. If I grow faster, maybe I'll become a spirit and then I can speak." Kevin Smith strode over, tore off my clothes, and carried me to the bathtub. No. I wrapped my arms around his neck and warned him seriously. "There's too much water. I'll drown." Seeing that he remained silent, his delicate brows furrowed but without any trace of impatience, my heart stirred, and I pulled him closer. Let me tell you a little secret, I said, gazing at him as I leaned in close to his ear. Actually, there's another way to help me become a spirit faster, that is, the yang energy of a man. Kevin Smith paused and looked at me carefully. Will you still remember tonight tomorrow? Hilarious. I lifted my head proudly. My memory is excellent, especially when it comes to holding grudges. Kevin Smith smiled, moving his 5 fingers. The white, soft bathrobe fell onto the damp floor. You'd better not regret it tomorrow. Regret? What a joke. Waking up early in the morning, I truly regretted it. Did I embarrass myself to death last night? What should I do? I curled up on Kevin Smith's bed and, as he came out of the bathroom, I instinctively reached to support my waist. I was shocked, moved a little, and realized I felt no discomfort at all. In fact, I felt refreshed and clear-headed. Kevin Smith gave me a gentle smile when he saw I was awake. I tentatively asked, "Are we in a for-love relationship?" Kevin Smith said, "Don't make me deal with you this early in the morning." TSK, so fierce. Maybe he's feeling guilty, who knows? Because of last night's party, I slept at home until the afternoon. It wasn't until after 3 o'clock that my phone rang. I answered. "What do you want?" Kevin Smith paused, then said, "What else could it be?" After a long silence, he snapped angrily, "Let's register for marriage." I said, "Your attitude is terrible. I don't want to marry you, Kevin Smith." I said, "All right then, I'm not an unreasonable person. Say, princess, please marry me." I leisurely rolled over in bed, feeling a sudden impulse, and started typing rapidly. "Wait, your mom agreed to let me marry you," Kevin Smith said. "She chats with 30 different old men every day without repeating, so she doesn't have time to bother with us." Wow, a true role model for our generation. No matter which field it is, outstanding people will always stand out. Then why haven't I seen you chatting with any girls, Kevin Smith? No matter how much I asked afterward, Kevin Smith pretended to be deaf and mute. Fine. I opened the dating app on my phone and decided to look for myself. Currently, the website is operating well, with 8 million users registered online. Enter Kevin Smith's ID in the search bar, and the page will redirect. On Kevin Smith's profile picture, I saw my own photo. Username, Kevin Smith, only love Qingyang. Bio, married with children, supporting my wife. Pinned post, many friends, can help make connections. Attached is a 9-grid photo. All of them are handsome, half-naked, photos of Jack and the guys. The comments are filled with a wave of girls going wild. Look, they even tried to test me on behalf of Kevin Smith, not knowing they were already exposed. I scrolled down. Oh, Kevin Smith just updated his status last night. It's a 1-minute video with a completely black thumbnail. I curiously clicked open. There was a rustling sound, and someone was murmuring, "Say it again, who do you like the most?" Say it again, Kevin Smith. Who likes Kevin Smith? Say it completely, dear. Well, Sophia likes Kevin Smith. Sophia likes Kevin Smith. Yes, do you really like him? Do you like them? Have you ever come to me on ordinary days to show any concern for me? You only came because you heard the news and were afraid that after I marry Bella, I wouldn't give you any money. You don't love me at all. And you don't love Harrison either. You only love money. Are you going to marry Kevin Smith? Marry? The screen shakes, and the camera focuses on Kevin Smith and me sitting in his lap. The background should be on the balcony of Kevin Smith's room. He looked at the camera, lowered his head to kiss me, and then smiled at the camera. "Sophia, you can't deny it when you wake up tomorrow." Top comment, Vivian said, "My daughter-in-law is great, getting more and more adorable." Below, a group of elderly men followed up with comments. "Not bad, really not bad, Kevin Smith, delete that for me." After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.